Hi, welcome to section 10.7, complex numbers. Hopefully by the end of this, you all will be able to simplify expressions that contain imaginary and complex numbers. So, what are complex numbers? So let's talk about this imaginary unit. All through this chapter up until now, if we had square roots of negatives, we just said, they're not real, don't worry about them. Well, today we actually get to learn how to deal with them and work with them, and it's going to be exciting. So the imaginary unit, which is a lowercase I, is equal to the square root of -1, which also means if you squared both sides, I squared equals -1. So if you have a negative underneath your square root, so I just have a generic square root of -b, that would be -1 times b, so you could take out the I, that would be I square root of b. So we're going to have these imaginary units today with little lowercase i's. Okay, so let's simplify a little bit. The first one I have in example 1, a is the square root of -25. Well, that negative means we get to take out an I, so that'll be I square root of 25. And then 25 is 5 times 5, so we've got a pair of 5s here. So we can also take out a 5, and we'll just multiply them together. 5 times I is 5i. Okay, what if we have something that doesn't, make a perfect square? What if we have the square root of -7? Well, all you can do is take out the negative, and that'll be I square root of 7. Okay? Okay, what if I need to multiply things together, and they have negatives in them? Well, if you do that, the important thing is pull out your i's first. Otherwise, you're going to get like the opposite of what you're looking for, of what the actual answer is. So I've got the square root of -8 times the square root of -6. So basically, simplify first, multiply second, okay? So that negative with the square root of 8, we will make it an I. Then 8 is 4 times 2, and 4 is 2 times 2. So I can also take out a pair of 2's, okay? So 2 times I would be 2i, square root of this little 2 right here that didn't get put into a group. Okay, and we're going to multiply by the square root of -6. That negative, again, we can pull it out as an I. 6 is 3 times 2, so there's no pairs of 2, no groups to take out. So we're just going to have an I square root of 6. Okay, now that we've simplified, we'll multiply things together. So when you multiply, you do outside times outside. So 2i times I would be 2i squared. And inside times inside, 2 times 6 is 12. Oops. So then from here, we can simplify a little. So I squared is equal to -1. So I've got 2 times -1, which is -2. Then I've got a 12, which I can break down into 2 times 6, and 6 is 2 times 3. And now I've got a pair of 2's that I can bring out, which is pretty great. So I'm going to do the 2's from here and multiply it by that -2 that's already on the outside. And then this little 3, who didn't have a group to get put in, he stays underneath the radical. So -2 times 2 is -4, and then that would be times the multiplied by the square root of 3. And that's how this one would work out. All right, what if we're dividing? What do you think we should do? Kind of similar to multiplication. We should probably simplify first and then see what we can divide, okay? So I've got the square root of -80 over the square root of -5. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is take out my i's, okay? So I've got a negative, so I'm going to have an I on the outside, and I can probably do something with the 80 too, can't I? 80 is, let's see, 8 times 10. 10 is 5 times 2. 8 is 4 times 2, and 4 is 2 times 2. Lots of little factor trees here. It's a square root, so I'm looking for sets of 2, little groups of 2. So I can take 2 groups of 2 out. Erase this so we can make it nicer. So I'm going to do 2 times 2, which would be 4. That negative will be a 4i. And then this little 5, who didn't have a group, will go on the inside. Okay? And the denominator, with this square root of -5, the only thing I can do is take out the negative. So that would be I square root of 5. 5 doesn't break down, it's nice and prime. from here, we could actually go ahead and simplify it really nicely because I divided by I is 1. Square root of 5 divided by square root of 5 is 1. So I've got 4 times 1 times 1, which would just be 4. Okay, so that's how this one works out. Now it's your turn. You guys get to try one and show me how much you've learned.